Tinfoil hat. Oh, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to a bonus episode of Tinfoil Hat this week. We're going to give you a little extra episode. This is an episode I did while I was at Bohemian Grove. I did it with Clint Russell, Jose Galison, Wade Picard, and Josie the Redhead Libertarian. It's a great deep dive conversation into basically Iran, Israel, the Occult, World War III. It's a deep dive. You know, we got some of the best researchers on the show, and it's a fun black belt conversation. And I hope you guys enjoy. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends at livelongerformula.com. That's right, my boy Christian Yardarnoff. Okay, listen, if you're struggling with digestive problems, low energy, you can't sleep, brain fog, all that stuff, you got to go to livelongerformula.com with my good friend Christian Yardarnoff. Christian is a longevity author and functional health practitioner. He will help you get your gut working smoothly, detox yourself, boost your testosterone, sleep like a baby, function at your best, because you deserve to be at your best and thrive and not just survive through the apocalypse. Go to livelongerformula.com/Sam, where you can watch his latest free masterclass on 7 deadly health fads that are shortening your life. And after watching the masterclass, if his approach resonates with you, you can book a free metabolic functional assessment with Christian so he can help you identify the root cause of your health problems. Make sure to mention my name when booking your session, and you'll get a free gift if you decide to work with him. Okay, so this is going to be great. Listen, here's the whole thing. So if you decide to work with him and work on your health and longevity, again, go to livelongerformula.com/Sam and take control of your health and enjoy this show. It's a great one, dude. Thanks for tuning in.
Welcome to Liberty Lockdown. This is, yeah, I know, it's weird. Clint Russell, Jose Galison in the building. We've got Austin. What's your last name? Picard?
Picard.
Is it really?
Yes.
I don't believe you.
No, Austin Wade Picard, I swear.
All right. And then we've got Sam motherfucking Tripoli in the building.
Yes, that's my middle name,
What's up,
motherfucker.
Yeah.
I have a great four-way story sometime. I'll tell you. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Don't.
It's a really funny story because it was when I was first starting stand-up, and I used to have these 2 chicks I would hook up with in Vegas. So I brought my British friend over to from LA to Vegas to go do stand-up, and he's very posh, good guy named Elliot. And these 2 chicks wanted to have a 4-way with us, and I got 6 inches on its tippy toes, right?
Oh my god!
So I'm super. I go, hey, dude, you don't have a monster hog, do you? He goes, no. I don't have. Are you sure? I don't want to. So we show up, and Godzilla comes out of his pants, and it's fucking. I mean, it is. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? So I'm just sitting in the corner like a sad ride at Disneyland that nobody wants to go on.
Oh man!
So that's my fun story,
dude. That sucks. I feel bad for you.
Yeah, but once you have kids, it's like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, whatever. my junk works.
Well, that was a much funner way to start this than I had imagined. But I did want to talk to you guys about the big story of the day, and that is Iran. I'm very jaded, and I think rightfully so, as a consequence of the WMD lies, the sarin gas lies in Syria, the countless lies that we've heard from the Russia-Ukraine war. I think everybody at this table kind of sees war propaganda the same way. But this, to me, comes across as the exact same thing.
Yes.
That Iran had that they suspended in 2003, what's described as a latent nuclear deterrent program. As of late, they've spun up their centrifuges or whatever to 60% purity so that they're able to basically use it as a negotiating chip, which has now been turned into a, I guess, talking point by which the U.S. may get involved in this war. So what are you guys feeling?
I think we're going to war.
Poor
Unfortunately, that's
Austin.
the way it seems. I mean, it does seem though we're having. I mean, I don't know if it's we. It's really hard to. I mean, I do a daily show, so I cover the minutia of all this daily, and it's you see him waffling back and forth. And I gotta say, I felt like we were going to be at war damn near almost a week ago.
I thought so too.
And so I keep saying, beware false flags, beware false flags. Like we got this 2-week period. I've kind of had this joking bit where I'm like, it's like Trump being like, where's the false flag? It was supposed to be like a week ago. Where are we at? What's going on? Like. That's what it feels like. We're just waiting for it. So, I mean, between the constant pushing propaganda of fuck this war, and also just like, I think we just need to keep pushing. And I mean, just putting gum in this works. I think with the current paradigm of the propaganda that we have essentially fighting back against this, I don't see any sort of boots on the ground thing happening within the next few years. Like, I feel like any sort of genuine mobilization that feels anything organic is just like not going to happen. So I don't know. I feel like they almost need to go hard and fast or not at all. I've been genuinely concerned that we might get into nuke territory, and I feel like there have been little subtle hints thrown out throughout that have made me.
For sure.
Are we about to? Because I can just see that Hollywood narrative already play out. Look at this this persecuted nation that in secret, there's this dastardly entity trying to destroy them, and they in secret built up their nuke program, and then they announced the world. The Lions of Judea come out as a nuclear power announcing the world.
Operation Rising Lion.
Exactly.
Oh
Like I can see it playing out, and it's like, don't let them have it. Make it inorganic at the very least. It might happen, but at least make them eat that shit.
Yeah, 100%. And what I actually personally think is that at every turn, the name of the game is manufacturing consent. That's you mentioned Ukraine, right? Ghost of Kiev.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean,
Snake Island, all that.
Yeah, and then you go back to babies in incubators, right? I mean, like how many different examples do we need before we, at least the general public would, at the very least, you would think, be maybe skeptical. You would hope, but seemingly, what typically happens. And by the way, did you see the 5.2 earthquake in Iran on the Richter scale? I had someone describe that as one of the nuclear tests underground causing this. Is that propaganda? Yeah, absolutely, in my mind, and especially when you're considering what just happened with Tulsi Gabbard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now,
let me add something real quick.
Okay.
You're from California, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A 5 earthquake is fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Like you sleep through a 5 too. But on top of that, do you think that they would test a nuke underneath Tehran?
No sense.
Like the actual, like the population center of the nation? That doesn't make any fucking sense.
See, I think that's what their big problem is right now. The group is too sad. The population that cares, which most of it doesn't, because they're just distracted. Whenever there's a high impact event, I like to go to Instagram and see how the Instagram models are taking it. And it's always the exact same way, ass up, face down. It does not matter what is happening. They're in their mode all the time. So most people are distracted. But the people that are paying attention seem to be the paid for shills, the Zionists versus everybody else that's paying attention. And I think they are screwed. I think you're looking at the first war that they want to make happen that they could not manufacture consent for. Every other one they've been able to rally the country behind under this false narrative and allow us to just go murk brown people that did nothing to anybody. But we're so savvy now. Right. And I don't know what the role in that is with Twitter. I think Twitter is the biggest part of this, is that it's just allowed this open dialogue to happen that never was allowed before. Like every time Duckbill Laura Loomer tweets something, I go, let's go see how it's going in the tweets. And she's getting her lady dick kicked in every tweet she puts out. Yeah. So it's not working. None of it's working. And, all of these Zio retards are all tweeting about Iran's going to have a false flag attack in America. And you do simple math. It goes, by the most part, it seems that Iran doesn't want a war. Iran just wants trade. That's really all they want. They want sanctions off and they want trade. And if you go back to the Iranian hostage situation, if you really study that was about Chase Bank gave loans to the Shah, not in the lawful way that the Iranian government says they take loans, which is approval of their Congress. They have to approve the loan before they take it. The Shah was just taking the loans and pocketing the money. And then when Mogaddesh, or I think that's how you pronounce it, but when he got in, he looked over the books and he goes, these loans didn't go through Congress. We're not going to pay them back. And already had a shitty rating with the Fed at that time. So if these loans weren't paid off, their credit rating with the Federal Reserve was going to be disastrous.
Which is the end of a commercial bank.
Which is the end. So Henry Kissinger and a Rockefeller, they got the Shah and they paraded him around the United States to give indications to Iran that they were going to reinstall him. And Iran was like, "Don't fucking do it, dude. We'll take your embassy over." And they did. Nobody knows this. They took it for 3 days just to show them that they could do it. And then they let the hostages go and they went back. And they're like, they kept parading him around. So that's where it came from, because they knew they could manipulate Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
So this is the first time manipulate Jimmy Carter into basically freezing Iran's assets.
Gotcha.
So this is the first time I've ever seen where there is a war that the war pigs want, that there's no consensus for outside this small group of people that want it. I personally think, there's a lot of people talking about how a lot of these bombs look like AI, which I'm not saying they're not. I don't know. I haven't studied it enough, but I 100% believe that Israel is fucked anyway. I don't see.
Well, have you seen they're censoring their people with the missile strikes? They're not allowing them to video. They can get 20 to 30 months in prison. There's no fines attached to it. It's literal imprisonment, no fine. I think it's 20 to 30 months for videoing the missiles coming in. Because
the first 48 hours of Iran's retaliation was being put on the internet, and it was like, oh, like Iran's for real. Like this is not Iraq. This is not Afghanistan. This is a real fucking country with a real fucking military, and y'all just started a war with them.
Yeah.
And just to double down on Sam's point about how you don't think Iran wanted the war, I know they didn't want this war because their allies, the Palestinians, like they have obviously supported Hamas for a long time. They had every opportunity to engage in that war if they wanted to, given all of the fucking death and destruction that was being wrought upon the Palestinians. They never did. Also, they took out the leader of Hamas, or the leader of, was it Hezbollah? Yeah, Hezbollah. Yeah. And then they're like, you will pay. And then what did they do? They gave them, I think it was 24 or 48 hours notice, and they send these fucking, everything they sent at them was shot down because they gave them notice. It was basically like a clear face-saving maneuver. We can't look as if we're just totally afraid of you, but we're going to make sure that we don't actually damage you so that you don't end up, escalating further. Right. So they have taken every opportunity to de-escalate, to avoid a direct war with Israel. And what did Israel do in return during the negotiation process for peace with the West, with America? They fucking take a overnight drone attack, and they wipe out like half of their top, military establishment.
It's very crazy, and you kind of get into, so when everyone says Iran supports Hamas, I'm not saying that's not true at all. I just don't know what's going on with that because, Israel's come out and said that basically they busted Netanyahu funding and arming ISIS to come into Gaza and pretend they're Hamas. And so the question goes, when did that start?
Right.
Did that just start, or was that what happened on October 7th? Right. And it was really these ISIS fighters that pulled this bullshit maneuver that we all know was a false flag event.
Yeah, well, Dave Smith was debating Constant Kissin on
Piers
God,
Morgan yesterday, beautiful,
and he made that exact point. He's like, all right, so what's your definition of a proxy? And they, Piers and Kissin, they both go, well, you're funding a military that does stuff on your behalf, and he's like, all right, so is Hamas a proxy of Israel?
Wow,
it's like, oops. You better have a little bit better definition of a proxy if that's the case, because you're right. They funded it it was through Qatar, but same difference.
These are unimpressive people. You could tell too, if anyone has watched that debate, you can tell the point didn't even enter. He didn't even compute the point. It's like what we were pointing out is your logic is nonsensical, and you just don't even.
They have a blind spot the size of a black hole. They don't have basic
logic skills
when it comes to this. They just have a blind spot. They can't compute it. It's generational trauma and programming. I don't even get mad at my Jewish friends that have no ability to call out Israel, because it's really just it's baked into their program. They can't do it. Since they were kids, their grandmas, their moms have been just annihilating any common sense when it comes to this. And again, we're getting into what is Israel. And, that's when it comes into biblical talk. And the truth of the matter is that Israel is not a nation. It is not a geographic area. It's an ideology of accepting Jesus as your savior. That is it. And then if you study the Talmud, they think Jesus is in hell, rotting, burning in excrement. So it doesn't add up. None of it adds up.
No.
But they're so smart, these masters of mankind. They've been working on this for hundreds of years. This isn't like an overnight or even like a couple decades thing. This has literally been in the works forever, because they know, Christians who favor or who support Israel will be blessing. That's not the exact quote, but that's along the lines of it.
Right.
So they know that's out there. So they'll just call this country Israel, and then they get the Schofield Bible going, and now you round up all of these Christians to basically support this. I hate to say it, and I probably wouldn't have said it on October 6th, but this parasite in the middle of this area that has, like right now we're being told, by Ted Cruz that this is the most dangerous country for America. They could while our allies bombing, Israel, Iran hasn't invaded anywhere in 250 years outside of this throwing these missiles. So you're talking about a country that hasn't invaded anywhere in 250 years. And you're saying that the allies are the ones currently bombing 5 people while we've toppled almost 7 governments.
Yep. And in the past 24 months, Israel's attacked 6 countries.
Yeah, it's
absolutely insane. It's been a 5+ front while committing a genocide and starting a new war of aggression that could ultimately trip off, we all, I guess, jokingly, but semi-seriously, World War III. We have Chinese warships, I think, in the Hormuz Strait along with ours and stuff right now. Like this all can pop off.
This morning there was reports that our B-2 bombers have been deployed too, and then their transponders got shut off. Like this is all.
Well, they're at Diego Garcia too, so they're exactly. They're right there anyways.
And then this is all fog of war shit. So I don't want anybody to panic.
Yeah.
I've been panicked periodically throughout this fog of war as I'm trying to analyze and get a handle on these things. And it really looked like you were saying earlier, it looked like a week ago we were going to war. Like it looked like it was fucking coming. And now it looks as if basically they're trying to kind of craft or like mold the American people's mind that we get kind of afraid of a boots on the ground war. And then they go, all right, well, then we're just going to drop bunker busters. So like, this isn't a war, right? But the reality is it'll take a miracle for Iran not to respond by striking American soldiers at our bases in the Middle East. If they do that, if we lose American troops, as well as I do, Trump will immediately enter war.
Absolutely.
For real.
Well, and then it's also like they have that one battleship going over there that's been decommissioned
for over a year. The USS.
And they're like, yeah, we're just going to send this one over there. Yeah. And everyone's like, it's going to be a false flag. And then the mainstream media is like, they're not using it for a false flag, which is telling me you're using it for a false flag. The fact that you acknowledge what we were talking about is just you trying to counter
the Jordan Peterson thing. I brought that up on my morning show recently. Just like this cyclical thing where it's like, now this is how ridiculous the propaganda game is. They're trying to put out this propaganda campaign for whatever they're trying to do. We've gone to such a point where now we have Jordan Peterson putting out things from New York Post saying, essentially just shitty articles about bots. And like, I went through in my audience, there's nothing that like
it's
drew
so
a conclusive
crazy
line.
how dumb they look.
Completely reading into bots, and like these are all stuff I've seen happen for a long time. We've had all these bots that follow us, and I'm like, this is going to backfire at some point. This is totally some sort of play, whether it's to bog down our algo or it's to do this.
But it's worse than that though, because the people that are actually running that, I forget, it's like NICA or something like that. But they have former like top dudes from the ADL that are responsible for that analysis.
Of course.
And then you have Jordan Peterson, who's this guy going around defending Christianity, despite the fact that he's not willing to espouse his faith at all. But he's the one that's pushing this shit. I honestly believe this, and this is probably going to be controversial. I think that he's on the take. I think he's actually getting paid to propaganda.
I don't think that's controversial at all.
Well, it's not controversial at this table.
No,
I think it might be controversial.
I think it's right.
Soul to soul.
So I just want to also get into this, and I don't know, Austin, if you've ever talked about this, but the theory of nukes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm not saying they don't have big bombs that go boom, but I mean, whatever they showed us in World War II was not a nuke. It wasn't real. There's nothing ever that has led me to think it is real, because everything from the dropping of the bomb, that people moving right back into Hiroshima, Chernobyl, it's like, it's so dangerous. You have to wear a hazmat suit as deer walk by.
As we're bombing the fuck out of nuclear facilities.
Yeah, but it just makes no sense whatsoever. And it's just, I'm just telling you the bombs aren't real. I'm not saying that the nukes aren't real. They just aren't. There's nothing that ever said that there is an actual nuke. Now, does that mean they don't have a really big bomb that could do some
They have
nasty
huge
shit?
bombs.
I'm not, or they came up with a real version of it, but from that, what World War II, they firebombed all Hiroshima, and then they said they dropped the nuke. People are already gone, and then they ran in, and then they moved right back in. Like they should be mutants by now, dude. The advancement in CBD technology has just skyrocketed, and there's no one that's in head of the game more than cornbread hemp. Let me tell you about cornbread hemp. Look, I got a question for you. Have you tried everything under the sun for peace of mind? It sounds like it's time for you to try cornbread hemp's CBD gummies. Let me tell you about cornbread hemp's CBD gummies.
Cornbread Hemp CBD gummies are made to help you feel better, whether you're dealing with stress, discomfort, or you just need a little relaxation. They only use the best part of the hemp plant, the flower, for the purest and most potent CBD. And all their products are third-party, lab-tested, and USDA organic to ensure safety and purity.
All right, so right now, Tinfoil Hat listeners can save 30% off their first order. Just head to cornbreadhemp.com/tinfoil and use the code tinfoil at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/tinfoil and use the code tinfoil.
Here's the one pushback I'll give you on that. I think that it's more likely, in my opinion, that nuclear radiation, the half-life of it is much shorter than what they said, because I think when they were
how long do you, because they say it's thousands of years.
No, I know that, and what I'm saying is, when they were trying to make people very fearful of nuclear weapons, and this makes perfect sense from a propaganda standpoint, that you would want it to be believed as the only nation that had functioning nuclear weapons, that if we drop these on you, it's not just the people dying now. It's that your country becomes uninhabitable for thousands of years. So don't fuck with us. So I think that was the lie. That's always been my read of it. So what do you think?
It's like a year? Because they moved right back in.
Yeah, I think that it's probably still somewhat dangerous, within probably 5 years, but like it just decreases exponentially year after year. So I would say, like, after Chernobyl, for instance, I would definitely recommend you not fucking be there. But like 2 years afterwards, nature starts to come back, trees start to grow. I mean, that's been my read of it. I have no way to back this up. This is like bro science.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the clip of them testing nuclear bombs, those are all models.
Look out Mountain Laboratory, man. That's where all of that was filmed, essentially, right?
Kemper's fucking dad or grandpa that was working and had some super top secret thing that he was literally 100%. Working on those. Like, this is like, if you understand what like occult, for things to be occulted is, this is like fake. Nukes being real would be like the ultimate occulted thing, because it is kind of, if you look at how it is kind of like super secret, oh, you can't have it, but we can. And so it's like, it is kind of the perfect area for someone to pull some shenanigans or something.
Well,
so
I'll give you another tidbit as to why I believe nukes are real. If I know this is weird that I have to argue this, but at this table I do.
Your government loves you, like yeah. Let's go there, Clint. I'm not even saying I actually believe them. I just give.
I definitely don't believe that, but I think that we would have taken out North Korea if nukes were fake.
You don't think?
But Iran can't get a nuclear bomb?
Yeah, you're okay, buddy.
Iran can't get a bomb, but North Korea can.
Yeah, it's absurd.
It's so, and everybody hates Q shit, and I totally agree with that. But I think the Q shit was them telling us everything because they were going to reset I think the Q was two things: the elites telling us everything because they were just going. It was Operation Trust because they wanted to corral all these like super paranoid people.
Worked.
And it was an attempt to beta test AI, if AI could connect with us. And
oh shit, you think that Q is an AI?
I think the way it's written is totally AI.
Dude, that's interesting.
And they're like, will this manipulate them in this way?
Mission accomplished. Then.
Yeah, 100%. But it's all real.
Fucked up, like family members of mine.
Yeah, but what is in there is real. That's Operation Trust. They've been doing it for thousands of years. They tell you what's going on so that you get the people like in this room that are gullible enough to fall. But you go through it all. Now, what the people like Whitney Webb and all them will tell you is that all that information was already out. It's like when they're like, we're going to release Epstein files. And I'm like, we already know. We just want to know, are we right or totally right? That's the only reason we want them released. We already know who's there. The only question is who's the MW, which is Michelle Wolf, the comedian, because she got all this stuff right after. She got her own Netflix show.
Interesting.
She's doing the press, the presidential.
Wait, MW was something from Q?
Yeah, well, no, from the Epstein list when it was when they list over there. There's a MW. Now there's also a Michael Wolf who's very high up at the CDC. So it could be one or the two of those.
Yeah.
But that's all that was. But the point of that whole thing is that in Q it basically says that North Korea is just a CIA outpost.
Actually, that's what I was going to
used to just whenever they need to rattle or whatever that is.
Even crazier than that. Clinton himself sold the Whitewater reactor to Kim Jong-un's father, right? Kim Jong-il, which is super crazy. That, and by the way, that the deals that they had made with essentially the Russia at the time, right? Which, as far as like these labor camps that they were setting up.
Uranium One deal, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff because
the Clintons made crazy bank off that, I heard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for me personally, like knowing how compromised and corrupt the Clintons are and the network around them, right? Which very much in my mind, I think I don't see Trump outside of that network in any way. I mean, he's legitimately on a golf course grabbing Bill Clinton by the dick.
Yacht.
You know what I mean? Yeah. No, he bought Adnan Khashoggi's yacht. Which was already entirely
Bill
outfitted.
Clinton did?
No, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump bought Adnan Khashoggi's
Yeah, the
yacht.
blackmail yacht,
than that.
known for blackmail.
Entirely rigged with audiovisual blackmail. When he bought
Was it Melania supposedly provided to him by?
I have a joke about it. She was a high-end escort.
Yeah, that's what they say.
They're all sexually compromised.
Yeah.
Every single one of them is sexually compromised.
So Elon's brother was doing jujitsu or some nonsense? Supposedly is what they said with Ghislaine or some craziness. Like there's like receipts for that. There's like a
Hitler was a gay hooker. They
don't start to go there.
Yeah,
I'm excited to go there.
He was a gay hooker.
I swear to God.
That is consistent with like Kurt Metzger talking about the tapes of Ronald Reagan getting pegged.
Right.
And how that got basically Larry Flint shot.
Oh my God! And you know what? That, and that
you never heard that? You want to see a great video?
Yes.
Go watch.
Go deep, homeboy.
Go watch Control Alt History. Andy Hunt is his name. Okay. Watch his video on it. He has all of the articles that came out about. So this Vicky Morrison, I believe was her name. It's just the greatest example of how if you're a gorgeous woman, like you can jump insane economic levels.
Oh yeah,
like you can go from because she was like,
if you're an attractive woman and you're not a millionaire, I don't know.
Bad decisions.
Or you're like the most morally pure person on the planet,
or you made bad decisions,
or you made bad decisions.
I mean, like when you drive in LA and you drive by like a hot chick at the bus, you're like, man, you're really stubborn.
Yeah,
you're just a stubborn person.
You should have an easy life.
Yeah. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be this way. But if you study all that stuff, like that's why Reagan was there.
Yeah,
super compromised.
Reagan, yeah,
he was blackmailed by a guy named Bloomberg who started the Bloomington stores.
Yeah, he's directly compromised and by the kosher mafia as well. He had a direct connection to Roy Cohn, his own wife, even Nancy Reagan. Right, that the whole reason that she was running the HIV, promo from the White House was essentially one reason was they were attempting to get like a state-of-the-art advanced medical attention to Roy Cohn, dude. In order to save him from dying of AIDS.
Which I thought was God, insane. I didn't know that.
Yes, and it all connects back to this kosher mafia connection that I forget it was what's the name of that talent agency or whatever it was that was you remember, Jose. We talked about it multiple times on Already Dead, but either way, you guys would all remember as soon as I mentioned it. But fuck it. Anyway, what matters most is clearly this was a sort of cutout, right? In my mind, a human compromise cutout. And what people don't realize, right, is that Larry Flint as well, as far as being connected to all of this.
Yeah, you told us that the other day on whatever this is.
Okay, he's obviously a pornographer, but we're talking about the Cotton Club murders as well. So we have like Roy Radin, right, who's a producer in this the Cotton Club movie that they were attempting to produce at the time. He's murdered in an occult ritual style murder by a man named William Manson. Manson 2 is what they called him. And he's directly affiliated so he was a bodyguard of Larry Flint's, and he was a hitman who killed Roy Radin And apparently also at Larry Flint's mansion, they were having a party, right? And just like with Roy Radin on the East Coast in upstate New York, he was having essentially these human compromise parties, just like Roy Cohn, where they were
Hugh
procuring
Hefner,
children.
too,
yeah,
that was his.
Oh,
absolutely.
Cohn, Trump's mentor. Just remember
Exactly. Where's my Roy Cohn, says Donald Trump.
Right.
And that in no way, man, like you don't get involved in politics, or you don't get involved at that influential level where your name means so much. And I think that when you realize, like, it wasn't Murdoch, but either way, there's a direct connection to the money manager of the Rothschilds at the time, right? When Trump was essentially bankrupt, and he was becoming involved in Casino Royals International, I believe, Royal Casino International, I believe is what it's called. And basically what had happened there is that what they had said is that they bailed him out in order, they said, he's more valuable to us alive than dead.
Yeah.
And that was meaning the
It's
brand
the Elvis
name.
factor.
Yeah.
People like he's magnet. He's like, people are attracted to him, and not everybody has that. I call it the Elvis factor. Johnny calls it the Hitler factor. It's just you're just connect to people. So yeah, all this. And the interesting thing about Roy Cohn dying of AIDS is that whenever they run these psyops, they don't care if they take out their own.
I think what's driving me crazy is that we still don't have, like, there's no movement at all at this point, like zero movement. And as you can see by the sign, I take this very fucking seriously. Liberty lockdown. I can't fucking believe that people are just moving on. Like, I can't believe that people don't care.
Dude, Karen Bass burned down LA twice, and nobody's calling for her head.
Dude.
And like, if we were a sports team, we would say, fire this coach.
Of course.
I don't care what happens on his watch. It's on his watch. It's on her
Gavin
watch.
Newsom was there was a recall election in 21 and he won it. And it's like, you just destroyed the most incredible state maybe in American history. And it's like, no one cares. The Californians don't care.
Because they're emotionally captured. It does not matter to them.
Well, I want to ask you guys, this is kind of a tangent, but this has been like a retort I've gotten a lot lately, is that people think that I make it sound as if Israel, like, we're the tail and Israel's the dog. Like, I'm not even confident for sure that that's the case. I think sometimes we're the tail and sometimes they're the tail.
No, I think neither of us are the tail.
Okay, well, we'll go there in a second because that's interesting. But
yeah, okay.
No. Actually, fuck it. Go. You tell me what.
I think the British
Babylonian
Empire,
bankers.
I think the British Empire is above all of us. I think the British Empire,
So you think
the
this
Bank
is,
of England,
MI6 is actually the dog?
Well, MI6, CIA, Mossad, they're all the same thing. They just have different names. The storefront,
Exactly.
you know, they're
Black
all the
Nobility,
same thing.
The Pilgrim Society, Chatham House, even if you want to think Committee of 300, Club of Rome, these very much influential organizations.
I'd say Switzerland is
100%
is probably where it's all at.
I think,
and that's where they run it all out of.
Major tool.
I'm neutral. I'm a neutral country. Like, you can just do that. Like, oh, well, we're just neutral. No, you're the head of the banking couple.
Yeah.
You're where, like, the Club of Rome is, the WEF, the Collider is, Davos. It's all out of Switzerland.
Yeah, they're like, we don't ever go to war. We just fund all the wars.
They're like, oh, dude, you can't attack Switzerland because it has so many mountains. You're like, nobody attacks Switzerland because they're funding everything.
Exactly.
It is where the one institute that nobody talks about, which is the Bank of International Settlement. That is the head of the snake.
Isn't that also where they have like the most lax, some of the most relaxed child abuse laws, essentially.
I know the Netherlands and definitely
so that area. Yeah,
dude, age of consent laws. I mean, extremely.
That's the head of the snake, and that's also where they have the most lax stuff. It's also where you see some of the most insane stuff. Like, you follow, read Eye of the Chicken Hawk from Simon Dovey. He's Hot Star on Twitter for those.
People always want me to. My friends are like, you should just read on the plane. I'm like, the books I read, you can't just read them out in public. You can't hang out with a book that says pink Nazis on it.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I was reading Mein Kampf on the public bus and I got my ass kicked. So.
Oh, really?
No.
That's so fucking.
I would never ride a public bus.
Right. That's so fucking funny. But I honestly do think that Israel has very much been a tool of implementing this globalist framework, I think. And that is what David Icke, many people have, of course, you can disagree with them on many different things, but I appreciate a lot of what he's done, and especially in terms of the tiptoe toward totalitarianism, right? This dystopian agenda that is very clearly, you know,
The
being
technocracy.
pursued at every level. Yes, the
Yeah.
pivot toward technocracy is clearly in the works in this very moment.
we're
We're
in it.
witnessing it in real
We're deep in
time.
it.
Peter Thiel and all of his acolytes standing tall behind Trump. That's been very.
What are your thoughts on my belief that those drones in New Jersey were a beta test run to see if people were okay with robots in the sky?
Oh, wow. Man, that makes a lot of sense to me because in the UK already they're having what, like Uber Eats is essentially a drone that is flying to your apartment and dropping off your shit.
Yeah, they started that with Amazon a while back too.
Yeah.
They were doing test runs of it.
So imagine, well, especially whenever they were kind of like, you remember that engagement with Mexico where they were talking about, Elon's talking about bombing and drone striking Mexico, right? And then talking about Mexican citizens, right? Like cartel members, right? Essentially being priority targets, even within the domestic U.S. And you're considering drone strikes in the domestic U.S. And then they say now they clearly allowed more of advanced drone technology to in the airspace, in our airspace.
I know, dude. There was over the LA protests just a couple weeks ago. They had Reaper drones.
Jesus.
I was like, Reapers are capable of dropping fucking tomahawks, dude. Like or Hellfire, whatever. it is. Yeah.
Robot dogs. They had robot dogs. You never know what's real or what's not, but they had robot dogs. I mean, we've been talking about this for decades, like that. This nightmare.
But see, here's my dilemma because I've come around on the immigration issue in a major way, and I'm now fully in the camp of like the nation was being conquered through intentional migrant floods and funding of it. So I want that process stopped, and I actually would like to see it reversed to some extent. But I also recognize that like the tools that they're utilizing to bring that to bear,
they're using a sledgehammer when they need a scalpel.
Right. Well, that, and also it's the technocracy we're talking about. Plus, I don't like. Yes, I want the fucking immigrants deported or the illegal immigrants deported, but I don't want predator drones over fucking Americans, dude.
This is why I never really got into the whole bordertarian thing, and I've kind of been torn in it. I understand, especially from a libertarian perspective, I understand both arguments when it comes to theory. I completely get it. I've read Hoppe, like I understand, but I also have lived in the real world and I've seen how this plays out every single fucking time. And if you look back over the past, I don't know how long, what have we seen so far as any immigration actions of any substance whatsoever? It's all been fucking, they don't like Israel, fucking send them out of here.
Right.
And then a bunch of fucking, I've seen nothing but a bunch of bullshit, boomers bickering about, was that really a gang member? Is this really a gang member? Doing it like the most retarded fucking ways possible. All of this done in the most clumsiest way. It almost genuinely, it just seems like from the outside looking in, I know I'm going to make probably your audience really upset with it. It almost looks like it'd be better if they didn't do a fucking thing.
Well, it's also
call it an open border all you want, but they'd be better off if they just kept their dirty dick fingers out of it.
The hypocrisy of that you can't come here and criticize this country, so they get rid of you. And then Jordan Peterson, and his daughter are doing exactly that.
Right.
And there's nobody calling for them to deport.
Well,
except
let me be the first.
Yeah, exactly. I honestly think that every one of these scenarios seemingly fall into the, this is a precedent-setting operation.
Yeah,
and I think they're always.
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, and that's why I just personally, man, like in every way, I think when you witness this infringement upon the First Amendment, utilizing anti-Semitism as a justification, right? It's just like, I don't know. At a certain point,
IHRA working definition.
Exactly.
People should be so scared of what Karp is saying right now. The guy who runs Pelletier, what's his name?
Alex Karp.
Yeah. What that guy is saying out loud
I'm working
is
on
the scariest thing. And I don't care if you're like a kindergarten teacher who likes puppy dog videos and you don't do you think you do nothing.
Right.
That motherfucker wants you to live in fear.
Yeah, you openly was going on about how that's how we stay safe. We make sure our enemies are in fear.
Yep.
And if there's someone that means anything bad to you, they're an enemy. And they should go to fear. Those around them, their family, anyone they love, they should all be in fear. Like, oh my God, dude, you are on camera right now.
Yeah.
I've been working on a deep dive special on Palantir, specifically, which will come out probably in a week. I've been traveling, but I couldn't agree more. Like his entire mentality is like, it's the stuff of horrors.
It's
like
comic villain shit.
Yeah, exactly. And like it's really hard to overstate it, but what's really scary about that guy is the moral certitude, the absolute confidence to get on a fucking stage in front of like the titans of industry and just talk about how like this is all good. Like, yeah, we fucking kill people. Yeah, we do. And yeah, we've taken out tons of fucking Palestinians. And sure, 80%, like his argument was something to the effect of like 80% of them are like, we're pretty sure we're Hamas. It's like, all right, well, what about the 20%, bro?
That's
We
massive.
were giving a really good thumbs up.
And like the weird psychological operation that's going on with these Zionist idiots and saying the exact, like, even if it's authentic, which I think to a point it is, crying about hospitals getting bombed, crying about children being targeted, children dying, when they've been doing that exact same thing for 2 years now in Gaza, and not only like doing it, but gleefully bragging about it. And like Laura Loomer's tweets are so insane that you go, dude, did you run that by anybody before you tweeted that? Oh no, dead Palestinian babies. Who says that out loud?
And I've met Laura. I like Laura. She's very nice in person. I can't believe the shit she says. Like it honestly like concerns me for her soul.
Think Tim Dillon broke her. Got hit that. Tim Dillon broke her.
What did Tim Dillon
when
do?
Tim Dillon talked about how Pelletier kept begging him to come to dinner.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
And he's like, I'm not doing it. I would lose my entire fan base. They know I would, because he knows the key is authenticity. Like they listen to him as this voice of reason.
Yeah.
And he knows the minute he starts going, maybe Palantir is in a serious mode. And I'm doing the Tim Dillon laughing joke stuff, but he knows he loses crowd because he's watching it happen to Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, the Daily Wire.
He was saying that Peter Thiel had invited him to dinner multiple times, and he's
Have
like,
you heard about his parties? Peter Thiel's parties?
No, I haven't. I certainly haven't been invited.
Let's just say this guy fucks.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if you're a gay man like Tim Dillon and another powerful gay man invites you to a party,
That is
just like, what do you want for dinner? Twink, super twink, mega twink. Like, what kind of twink do you want?
There's been like receipts have been shown of him entering fucking like 18, 19-year-old like college kids fucking like DMs trying to come to his like elite sex parties at like, you know, nearby colleges. This guy also, his model boyfriend fell out of this, I think it was second or higher. It fell out of a higher floor of his like sick ass penthouse that used to be owned by the Bronfmans, who were involved in they were involved in the Nixium cult at the time.
Hey,
what about the guy
who hasn't had their gay lover accidentally fall out of the second story of penthouse while you're involved in the Nixium cult?
What is the Geffen? Like that dude is crazy, dude.
He's a music guy?
Would show up. Yeah, he would show up to campuses and kids would disappear.
Oh my God.
And then he would just move on.
And like Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Show me where the bodies are buried, Garth.
I mean, that's some.
Shout out Tom Segura, got another season of Bad.
He started that.
That's a great fucking show, dude.
Yeah.
So shout out to him, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, closeted gays, right? Am I right?
Right.
All right. So let me go back to make the counter argument that I think that oftentimes Israel is actually the dog wagging us. And I'm not disagreeing with the banking establishment being higher than just Israel, higher than the Federal Reserve for that matter. I agree with you on that. But you look at the clean break memo. You look at the you
can go through the Daya Doctrine, the Gaza 2035, Project for Israel in the 1980s. It's a Greater Israel Project.
Zion.
Yeah, it's just literally. That's why they have no position. This isn't about October 7th. October 7th was the door that opened, allowed them to go after all these projects
just like 9/11
they've been talking about forever. Yeah,
just like 9/11.
Project for a New America.
They need
Project for a New Century.
New American Century. But it was just like what they said in those documents was that we would need a new Pearl Harbor.
Exactly.
What happens? 9/11 happens. Then boom, we take out half of Israel's enemies, and then over the next 20 plus years, we just continue to slowly topple these dominoes that happen to all be all of their enemies, all in their neighborhood. And it's like, at some point, like it just begs, incredulity to be like, all right, come on, man. Like this is fucking obviously not for us.
Finale.
Guys, this fractional reserve banking is out of control. Okay. The more money they print, the less your money's worth. Okay. So that's why you got to get into the best hedge against that. And that's precious metals, gold and silver. And that's why I want to tell you about our good friends at Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. Let me tell you about Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. If you are paying attention, you know that de-dollarization is real. Fiat is fake, and you don't want to be left holding the bag when the dollar collapses. Gold and silver have been money through all of recorded history and are an excellent way to protect yourself from inflation and geopolitical turmoil. That's why I trust my friends at Wise Wolf Gold and Silver for all precious metals, all things precious metals. I love it. I am part of the Wolf Pack. Every month I have precious metals sent right to my house, and I love it. See, Wise Wolf Gold and Silver is veteran owned and A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau. No transaction is too big or too small. You can even roll over your 401k or IRA into physical gold and silver. And if you think you can't afford precious metals, think again. With the Wolfpack monthly membership program, you can get gold and silver delivered directly to your door for as little as $50 a month. As little as $50 a month. You can have precious metals. You start loading it up, man. By the end of the year, you'll have a good chunk of precious metals. Dude, it's crazy. You just go to samtripoli.gold. You can see all the different plans they have. Man, it's like $50. Lone Wolf, Warrior Wolf, $125. Alpha Wolf is $250. And it just keeps going up. Sent to your house. Right there. It's that simple. It's that simple. Easy peasy. Get in, get out, get your gold, get your silver. I love it. I'm doing it. Dude, I'm telling you. All of these affiliates I use, and I use Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. I use it all the time. It's real simple. So if you want to get in, this is how you do it. Wise Wolf Gold and Silver also deals in and accepts Bitcoin. So here's what I need you to do. Okay, go to samtripoli.gold, promo code tinfoil at checkout to receive free constitutional silver. That's right. And remember, in a world of bulls and bears, be the wolf.
And I do think, this is a point I wanted to bring up earlier. Have you seen the newest reporting? I believe I saw Dave DeCamp and Anti-War reporting on it, that now the rhetoric is shifting. I believe it's from the CIA. I forget who they're claiming. But essentially now it's being seeded out. Oh, no. A bunker buster won't do it.
Right.
It would need to be a nuke.
Yeah,
I know,
no, man.
Yeah, so it's like we need a nuke to save the day.
But hold on. Think about this. So
sad.
So 10 days ago, it was, we're not asking for shit from you. Just fucking let us do our business. Israel's got this. And then it becomes, all right, well, we can take out basically everything. They don't stand a chance with us militarily, but we might need, munitions. We might need aid. And then it was, well, we can't take out the nuclear facilities. We need bunker busters. And then it's like, oh, well, that won't work. We need nukes. And then Trump's saying, we're not even sure if that'll work. Now they're talking about fucking ground. And this is the point about the escalatory trap, that like once you start down this fucking slippery slope, it's not a mental flaw to describe it that way. This is how all of these wars began. The difference is that from 2002 to 2003, or really from 01, from 9/11 until 03 when we invaded Iraq, it was this slow, drawn-out process because we didn't have the internet. We had to have Fox News and CNN and MSNBC slowly propagandizing the American people to get ready for it and to convince us that they were actually behind 9/11 when they weren't. This is like on a fucking sped-up time scale like I've never seen before. In 2 weeks, they've done the entire Iraq buildup lies. They've done it in 2 weeks.
Now, I know we're all really hopeful on the propaganda side. I am too, but I do think one thing we really need to pay attention to. I know a lot of us have been quick to jump to, like, give props to a lot of these certain characters that we typically see as somewhere along the line riders or something, like the Tim Pools of the world. The Charlie Kirks is probably a great example. But if you listen to
he has a radio show on this in Florida. I was just trying to go because every
Charlie
station
Kirk has a radio show.
Yeah. It's really fucking nuts. If you listen to it, it's like something out of Idiocracy.
Yeah. Wait, was it bad?
Oh, it's so bad.
But if you listen to their rhetoric, though, they're still, yes, they're saying we don't want regime change, but there's still this kind of murky between all of them, whether they're accepting it's okay for Israel to be doing what they're doing. And even then, they're tacitly kind of accepting every little bit of propaganda that comes across. So literally, they're in a holding position. I know we're all giving them props and like, oh, that's fucking cool. Yeah, but they're in a holding position. Dude. These people sway the moment a false flag happens, the moment they have that narrative shifting thing, whatever that is, whatever their given thing is, and false flag probably gonna be the last thing or something. And
I have this really weird theory that you may see the end of Israel and it gets replaced with something else.
Like Ukraine?
Well, they could move that whole population to Ukraine and let them do it over here.
Yeah.
And they just bring in a new population to kind of take over that area because the Israeli brand is dead.
Oh, man.
It's never going to come back. And it's going to be even twice dead, more dead, if they lead us into World War III and our sons and daughters start dying.
100%.
You're never going to get America back to respecting that group of people again. I used to love Israelis. I used to talk about how I never met a bad Israeli in my life. They were always fun. I used to love watching Israeli soldiers twerk. They're so hot. And I was just like, I love them. And then all of this stuff happens. But if they draw us into a war, and like I want to tell you, they're fucked. If there is a false flag, I don't know anybody that follows this stuff that will think it's anybody but Israel.
Mm-hmm. It's been the goal. I mean, Wesley Clark, obviously, right? The 7-country plan. I mean, honestly, it feels like there is truly an international cabal in my mind, and I do agree. I think that Israel will be the scapegoat. I think that Netanyahu will take the political puppet fall. It'll look very ugly. I think it's inevitable. I think you look at he had no political credibility in the first place. His political capital was basically just, let's pull him out of this prison situation and essentially put him on the path where he has no other choice but to do our bidding in these terms. And it does very much feel like, as far as like, I'm considering the sort of like, you have international global oil markets that are very much tied to the Strait of Hormuz as well.
Massively.
And you wonder why these refinement facilities in Iran are being strategically targeted, prioritized as well. And then the Strait of Hormuz, you're seeing these oil tankers on fire already. Basically, Iran said that they threatened to set up a blockade, and this is all within the framework of the New Deal they just signed. This new train, apparently, it's the new Silk Road. It's the Belt and Road Initiative with China, and basically, as soon as this was agreed to, really, I think the 60-day negotiations began, and it was all in bad faith. And from day one, it was essentially bend the knee to the West, or else. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Separate from China. Although I do think that most of this could even potentially, this is where I question things, and I think that's layered for the interpretation. Who's controlled opposition at the leadership level, right?
Bro,
because it's difficult to question.
I can't fucking figure it out.
I think China's a paper tiger,
right?
I think they're building China up the same way they built up the USSR, and this time it's going to be involved, instead of nukes, it's going to be involved AI. And you see them, hey, dude, you can't write a law. You can't do anything about AI.
Government.
You got to let AI develop, and there's no state can pass a law that at all stops that growth. And they keep using China. China's AI, dude. We get a millisecond behind them, they got us.
I'm telling you, Mark Andreessen, right, goes on Rogan, starts selling him on basically AI government, right? Mm-hmm. And look at his connections, obviously, Andreessen, right? And then to Thiel, everything, right? And Elon himself, what's his grandfather's name? Haldeman, Technocracy Incorporated. That's what he was affiliated with. Like, it's fascinating stuff.
Too, these are the people that are literally capitalists. And I mean in the derogatory way, in the way that when the commies say capitalists, and the way when capitalists and communists talk to each other and they talk past each other, like what they mean when they say it, that's who these people are. That literally what they do, like Andreessen, Eric Weinstein, what do? Move money around, right. Which is like, okay, that's a genuine, I mean, that's obviously a legitimate function in the economy. But when you have, aberrations such as America that's been distorted in such artificial ways, what these are is people that have developed relationships, corrupt relationships, and are just moving money around and benefiting off of it.
That's the point that I wanted to make, is that in a actual sound money capitalist model, then there's nothing dishonorable about being a money manager, because you're actually you're checking for risk parameters, and you're making sure that the person who's delayed gratification to accumulate that wealth is making some sort of reasonable return and not losing their assets. The problem with this establishment and the banking establishment now is that it's all based off fiat. It's all based off of printing presses and borrowing and relationships with the powerful at the highest level and government contracts. So it's literally theft on so many levels that, like, if you do get to the highest level of this system, like it's almost impossible not to be deeply corrupted as a consequence.
You are
And
not the Howard
that's-
Roark character that
Right.
you want people to think you are, you know?
Yeah, and you're also not, the Atlas Shrugged. I'm blanking
Yeah.
on his name. It's like,
yeah, Galt?
yeah, John Galt.
Yeah.
And that's what kills me
I read
about
Fountainhead,
this.
not that.
Yeah,
right.
That's a shorter book. That's what kills me about this is that like I'm still an Austrian economics guy, and I still strongly believe that capitalism is the model that brings the most people out of poverty and that it benefits humanity the most.
Free market.
But I'm also smart enough to understand that like we don't function in that system.
We don't.
And it's a big mistake to defend the current paradigm and defend it as if it is capitalism, because that's what gives rise to the Marxist hordes that they then go, well, if this is capitalism, fuck this. And I'm like, you're right, actually. Fuck this. This is immoral. This is corrupt.
Well, crony capitalism is
Exactly.
still
Yes.
better than communism.
It is.
If you can no, I'm not agreeing with it. I hate it.
Yeah.
But I would take it over communism.
Agreed.
I mean, in California right now, the largest employer in the state is the government. That is socialism. And that beast must always be fed. And it's constantly growing because you're just adding more administrators and more administrators and more administrators. And then now everybody's on the government tip and nobody can question everything or else you'll lose your fucking job. That is socialism.
Yeah. And it's not just California. That's nationwide. The number one employer in America is the government.
Jesus.
To bring it back to the AI thing, the irony, I think maybe why I brought it to the capitalist, kind of the irony of the whole China, USA, like back and forth AI, whatever, vying for whatever the future. The irony is here is actually, if you look, the key, one of the key takeaways is China's actually been operating far more on free market principles in their implementation of their AI, as opposed to where we are doing this like, oh, we're going to take a few government contractors and pay them hundreds of millions of dollars to create this beautiful product that, while completely taking out all of the
It
market,
stifles innovation.
yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah. So China's beating us
which
in the
is-
free market,
Which is why China's winning that race. But it's also like,
open source.
but I'm also in the camp of like, and this is another very unlibertarian thing to say, but like I was driving. I don't care. I like to think freely, so fuck it. I was driving to Best Buy yesterday, which I haven't been to a retail store for anything in fucking forever because I'm trying to replace this soundboard because I knew you guys were coming to town and I wanted to be able to fucking record. Anyways, and I'm driving around and I'm like, I remember when I was a kid, every commercial real estate was like popping, like nice restaurant, retail store, Sears or Kmart or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, half of America worked in these places, and they're all ghost towns. Like almost every single one is a ghost town. And then I start to think, as I'm in my deep in thought, and I'm like, dude, Jeff Bezos came out of nowhere, and he
didn't come out of nowhere. That.
Well, no, I know.
His grandfather helped establish DARPA.
I do.
He's a LARP.
Sorry. I don't mean that, but I mean, he swoops in. Okay.
Yeah.
He swoops in and not even him, but whatever the fuck the power brokers behind him is. And they just ate everything. It was like they fucking consumed the entire retail sector of America, like in a decade, 20 years.
When you go to the mall, it's crazy. Like
It's
I
ghost
was a
town.
kid, I'd love to go to the mall.
Yep.
And now social media has filled that kind of
Yep.
desire to hang out and look around. It's
Like
crazy.
no one has any personal contact or communication as a consequence of this. And look, I'll be the first to admit, like the first one of these I got because I didn't need it, the same day. I got it off Amazon. All right. So like it has cut costs. It has made life easier in some regards, but the trade-off is really significant and meaningful. And I'm not I'm not the type to go like, well, we got to bring back horse and buggy because it put the fucking the horseshoemen out of business. Like that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if you look at the change to our cultural framework and the fact that like kids don't work anymore, like a huge percentage of kids don't work.
There's a talk in stand-up that people putting out all these clips and all these specials online that people aren't going to comedy clubs like they used to.
I believe it.
Because they're just like, I'll just watch it online.
And these are the things that I just don't want to see die. But anyways, the point that I'm trying to get to, and it's a long drawn out way to get there, but then I'm contrasting that and the cultural degradation that was a consequence of Amazon basically eating the entire retail sector's lunch. And then you consider what AI is going to do. And I'm like freaked
I mean, this comes back to kind of what we were talking about before, though, all the distortions that occur in the market. I really feel like, obviously, I know it sounds like, oh, my utopia, when we run this counter narrative through, everything would be so much better. But genuinely, I do think, had there not been these, distortions in the market, this would have probably been a much, more fluid, much more. I mean, but think about, we have fucking COVID. Think about, like, that was one that cleared it out. That was entirely artificial.
And anybody that hadn't been killed by Amazon was killed by COVID.
Exactly.
It was like the final fucking nail, dude.
And it's like in California, it's so hard to start a business. And what they do something. You just saw that video in San Diego where the guy was working at a bar that's closing that night, and he ran out and he grabbed the hot dog vendor and knocked it down. And people were yelling at him, but I go, I get it. He's losing his job. He doesn't have a job now because no one's going to the restaurant and they're just buying hot dogs from a hot dog vendor that has to pay it doesn't have to get any permits and anything like that.
And just to back you up, in California, in San Diego, to get the permits to, have a restaurant, have the retail store, the rent that you're paying for that, the inspections, everything else, it's major money. So at that point, you literally, like, people go, oh, well, just fucking compete. You can't compete, dude. No. You can't compete with a fucking hot dog stand.
Law, you can't be within 500 feet of a brick and mortar.
Well, or you have to drop all of the fucking regulations on the businesses and actually let them compete, because you can't have both simultaneously. You can't have unlimited illegal immigration and dudes just setting up fucking shop wherever they want, and then everybody who's domestic born has to go through the licensing shit, otherwise they go to jail. Yeah. Like, what are you doing? You're literally creating the dynamic by which you have revolutions, by which the domestic population goes, fuck this, fuck the system, I'm burning everything down. I don't want to see that, but like they are putting us in that paradigm, and I just don't think people
I think the future is black markets.
Yeah.
I think it's going to go where you're either in a gang, a mob, some kind of militia, and everything's going to be black market.
Don't you think that it's kind of by design?
And by the way, black market is free market.
Yeah, right. Not necessarily.
If you take away all the the really disgusting stuff,
but it's typically usually just black people.
Yeah, it's basically America's going to be a giant swap meet.
But I feel like
giant slave auction.
What is this, Libya?
I'm like, fuck. I mean, Mexicans get in on it too, okay? But
I honestly think by design they're attempting to bring down the American citizen.
I know,
financially,
dude.
Economically down a peg.
But I don't like it.
I don't either. And
I don't like it.
No, and they are. And what it's really about is creating it so we're so dumb and unhealthy that we can't figure out how our government operates. And then we can't come to the understanding that the Federal Reserve funds everything you hate in the world. It funds the false reality that is projected onto God's reality. So when you watch, I mean, Apple TV used to be so good, and now it's so woke. It's out of control.
It's all that DEI shit. You were. It's like distorts the fuck out
Dude,
of the
market. Murder Robot. Have you watched Murder Robot? It's the greatest name for the worst fucking show ever.
I watched 5 minutes of it.
The guys are all idiots, and you got a 65-year-old black woman and two ethnic lesbians, and they're the only ones saving anybody.
Of course,
they're stabbing people, shooting people, and the guys are like, I don't know what to do. And it's so unfortunate because it was the best. And what Apple used to do is like, okay, this is woke, but you don't know it till it's too late. They had this show called Hijack, and it was such a great show. And it had
that was Idris Elba, right?
Yeah, it was so good, dude. And then by with 3 episodes left, you go, oh my God, they've convinced us to watch a show where a black guy has to stop a hijacking by white terrorists on a Middle Eastern flight.
That's so funny.
I didn't even put that together. Oh my God, dude, that's amazing.
And it's so good.
Yeah,
but now they've said, nah, dude, fuck it. The difference between before Trump got in and after Trump got in, before Trump got in, they celebrated the DEI. They're like, look how woke this show is. Isn't it amazing? Now they're like,
yeah. No, you're right. And I mean, this is why I was talking so much about ESG.
Should we bring Josie in?
I'm gonna bring her in a second.
I feel she's sitting.
Yeah. This is why I talked about ESG and DEI so much in the past, is that I recognized that it was creating these market signals that were going to ultimately force feed us propaganda. Naturally, like that's the whole purpose of it. There's no real market for I want every lead actor, I want every heroine in every show to be a lesbian. and they have to be in a minority. And if you could put them in a wheelchair, that's even better. It's like nobody wanted that.
There is a term for what that is, and it's in my phone. I don't have it on me, but it's basically, it's like Korean Fazasa or something like that. I mess up the name, but it's basically an old communist trick. And what you do is you slowly install party loyalists at every single position the whole way up. So by the time you're done, it's now everybody's a Marxist.
Everything's a Steiner or Berg at that point.
Yeah, everything's a Marxist. And that's why Hollywood is fucked, because they can not get out of it. The people who run the channels or the stream service, they all know nobody's watching.
Yeah.
And the people watching go, I don't want to watch this, but they can't do anything because the middle is just rot.
Right. Yeah. And I think that, honestly, the reason I brought up the idea that they're trying to bring the American people down financially, economically a peg, is because I honestly think that what is in the works this moment, of course, is what it looks to be a total escalation in almost every geopolitical landscape that you can point out, to the point to where it seems like there is a clear escalation that is seemingly sort of setting the stage for an actual international world conflict. And I think that is by design as well, because this clearly is it always takes, fundamentally in my mind, it takes a major war to sort of just restructure global society, right? And every single time that tends to be the unfortunate inevitable outcome, right? And I'm just like very concerned, considering, I mean, from day one, my number one expectation above all else, and I had zero hope for Trump, honestly, as much as
I think Trump is exactly what everybody thought he was going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
He did exactly, if you really studied him, you go, oh, this is exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, we were calling he was going to cuck for Israel so hard.
100%, man.
I mean, if anything, I mean, you were more pessimistic than I was, a little bit hopeful that maybe, because there was that lie we were solar. Actually, I don't know if it's a lie. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not. I want to take a moment actually to re-emphasize there's only two ways you can look at this, like from the U.S. perspective, how you can really view Trump, I think, personally, after this. He either was entering these peace talks in good faith, and Israel blew it up. In that case, let's be real, kind of a bitch.
Right.
The other option is he, the entire time through, was faking, or at some point along the line. So it's some combination of the two. Right. So that, or essentially, I guess, a weasel, and it's someone that really, why would anyone ever interact with in good faith?
Absolutely.
I don't know why I took the moment to re-emphasize that. I was talking to some other point. But
Josie, any thoughts?
Josie.
Actually, I'm Clint. I'm a former money manager.
Wow.
No, hi guys. I'm just jumping in now.
Yeah. Any thoughts on maybe if you heard anything or what we're talking about?
I did hear that attractive women need to be millionaires.
Yeah.
I am not a millionaire. I'm mid.
We said if they had no morals. So
that's right. Okay, so I've got some morals to back that up.
No, we were talking about this escort that was this Vicky Morse, and she was like, she got pregnant at 16, had a kid, and then just wanted to become famous. And she went to LA, and she was at a diner, and this billionaire saw her, and she just became his side piece. But she started she's dating the heads of Saudi Arabia and all this. And you're like, what a crazy jump that is. That is just possible because you're a super hot woman.
What do you guys think about that Minnesota shooter? Man, there's some more stuff that came. I haven't had a chance to cover.
How about that story just dying on the vine?
It came back up. You might have missed the most recent news, but apparently, I don't know. I haven't looked into it. Yeah, the Tim Walz thing about that. Like, apparently he's now claiming. I mean, I haven't looked into the minutia, so I don't know the sources. So I don't know if it's like if there's a video or what. But at least the articles are saying currently that he made claims. Bolter, the shooter, made claims that Walz tried to get him to kill. What was
Amy Klobuchar?
Klobuchar. I almost said Hochul, but Klobuchar, yeah.
And she's a Democrat, right?
Yeah, which is like, I don't
because
understand
he wanted to run for Senate, so he needed to have.
That is so.
I mean, Tim Walz, he came off to me as a kind of retarded. So
by the way, I think he said that in the debate.
It seems too easy.
Thing you're never supposed to say.
Doesn't it seem
I'm kind of retarded.
Yeah, right. I'm kind of retarded.
Doesn't this feel too easy though? Yeah. But it's like there should be like really. It's just that he told you this, and this is like, yep, okay. Tim Walz ordered it.
He said he was trained by special ops military. He was like, I was trained by the military to do this, and Tim Walz wanted me to take out this person.
I believe that happens. This feels too easy.
Yeah,
I know, but I also
that's MK Ultra, right?
Yeah, I'm under the impression. I looked into the Praetorian Security company that he was affiliated with. His wife was like the manager of it as well, and she got arrested after. So he's in custody. She gets caught at a state line with her family, and she basically gets apprehended with passports, ammunition, guns. Like, so it was crazy.
Kind of like Paddock and his estranged
It's
wife.
100%,
Remember how Paddock,
dude.
like his wife from like over a decade ago, that then like they then buy a property together, like they're like right next to each other under the same parent company that was like
what they did. They made this story go away. They wanted the story to go away, so they brought in the roommate who worked at Papagino's and
what the fuck?
like slept on their couch. And they're like, all right, look at this guy. This guy's trustworthy. We trust him. And he says that this is a Trump supporter. Make it go away.
Exactly.
This is the note. This is the last thing everybody needs to remember. And then we're going to make it go away. But then it came back up when he said, oh, yeah, I was hired. Tim Waltz hired me to do a hit.
That is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's done anything.
No. And he
How
even,
crazy is that?
I'm telling you, man. And this Praetorian security company, so he had not only been affiliated with this, he had like a number of different jobs, which blew me away. One of them was he was specifically going to criminal scenes of homicide. And he was apparently gathering the bodies, taking them to a specific morgue. Now, I know how this works in the realm of covert intelligence, right, and clandestine intelligence, and how they utilize these specific morgues. And yeah, not only organ harvesting, but there's so much more to it, especially if you're considering like a criminal, obviously like a criminal case such as this, where clearly you would want to kind of like, in my mind, there's the cover up that's being facilitated, right, in every way. And I just like, it's, to me, that was strange. But not only that, he had been apparently providing security in the Middle East and South America. One of them was in the West Bank.
Yes, no, you're right. He was doing security on that, and then that company just went bankrupt out of the blue. Around the same time, Doge was shutting down all the USAID companies.
That's amazing.
One point. All right. So this dude that was responsible, Bolton, the guy that was responsible for killing these politicians. He
supposedly, we don't even know. I don't even know how they know this.
Who knows? Right? but this is the official story.
Shit.
This guy is in front of. He has already shot, and I don't know if he killed them, but badly injured. Shot them like 10 times, and they survived, which makes no fucking sense. But anyways, he then goes to the next politician's house.
Oh yeah,
the cops.
Imagine.
Check this out. The cops go and they check that house just because they know there's another politician living there, allegedly. So they're there. They get into a shootout with the guy outside in front of the house, and then
admittedly hit the.
But then hold on, and then he runs inside during the shootout, and the cops don't follow him in. He then goes and kills those people, and then he goes out the back. He takes off his body armor while he's in a gunfight and his mask, and then he gets away. He's a 60-year-old fucking
You also
dude.
left out the interaction. Maybe you forgot this
born
interaction,
identity shit.
but according to, I forget it was, maybe the AG of that, but then anyway, I can check on my morning show. I'll give you the specific source. I think I already talked about it.
Well, I mean, like, look at the George.
But sorry, real quick. But another thing he left out, the absurd nature. It literally claimed that there was a cop that tried to approach him, and I think it's Fargo. I saw someone make a equation to there's like a scene where he does that, like that. But literally, I guess the cop came up to him. It says he rolled down his window, and they tried to talk to him. He didn't respond. He just looked straight forward, and I guess the cop just left. So you literally just kind of like
he's in his
dead stared at him,
Manchurian mode,
and then just kind of, and the cop just kind of like okay, which like they made it. I think it was Fargo or something where there's like a scene where he's like, we can go this, or you can just go in your car and walk away.
If you saw the George Floyd stuff, nobody ever goes, where did he get the counterfeit money from?
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's from the nightclub that he worked at.
Yep.
That the Chinese were funneling.
He's supposedly working with it, Chauvinet.
Yeah, and that's why he shows up. And then he does the thuggy assassination position, which is like you can go, if you look up thuggy assassins, every picture is the assassin on the back.
No way.
Floyd was in the porn game too. I totally forgot about that.
I did not.
Which is
know
like
that.
obviously knowing our research, that's significant.
Hell yeah, it's significant.
It's crazy what's out there, dude.
100%.
It's really crazy. It's like super tragic, and it's like I believe human beings would just chill if there wasn't this hidden hand that's just riling everything up, creating chaos, and it just gets into that. There's this dark, like these masters of mankind are basically I don't even think they're humans, man. Whatever they are, They're just predators walk amongst us, right?
They're literally
It's like
demons,
wolves
and I'm
and
not
chihuahuas.
religious.
Yeah.
I mean,
We're the chihuahua, they're the fucking wolves.
Yeah, they're demons, and I'm not even religious. Like, I mean, through a lot of our research, it comes back to you look into like DID, like dissociative identity disorder, and like just all. And once you start digging this, you realize it's like when we talk about things like necromancy or demons or being possessed or any other spooky thing you talk about in the past, and like it's like, okay, well, think about all the secret schools that were going on and all the different like these are things that have been passed on for time. Things like hypnosis. What the hell was that to somebody 3,000 years ago? If you're able to make somebody your slave by implementing intense sexual and physical trauma upon them, what do you think they were doing?
Everything is.
What do you
just
think they
sex
describe that as?
magic.
Someone who can do what we just described with Bolter. That's a fucking demon.
Yeah.
That's a demon. And that could have been made by the U.S. government. And I think they've been doing this for thousands of years, just using different terms.
I think they have been too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're up against. Old banking families that have been running
Very old
everything,
magic.
manipulating. And then I've said this before. I said on Rogan. I think the old gods want to come out and play. I think they've been allowing the Abrahamic religions to be in control and be the forefront. And now you have all the Zoroastrianism, the Babylonian gods.
Yeah. Well, you
that
get
all
to
just
the-
want to come out
yeah,
and be
you
like,
get to
we're
the core
tired
of
of
them.
sitting in the shadow.
They're all about aeonic change or accelerationism.
Oh, man.
If you get down to the core of all these different beliefs that a lot of them you're talking about, Sabbateanism, it's all about, essentially doing evil to create this new age. And so I do think in their head, they might be like, shit, we're getting near the end of that new age. I do think it's quite fucking coincidental. It's also the same time we're about to go hit it off with Iran. They're like, I think we're about to hit our big penultimate fucking moment. The evil people, behind the scenes, I do think they think they're at their moment. And I think they may be like, this is what our aeonic change has led to. All the accelerationism, whatever different term, depending on the cult that it is, or whatever, it all kind of comes to the same basic thing. We're going to do evil, and this is going to create chaos, and out of chaos, we will create order. Like, it's basically what it all comes back down to. And that's kind of what we're seeing. And I do think like the old gods going to play. I do think like you look like it's all about subverting and inverting. So it's like, I think they're at the point where like, oh, okay, the new thing can take form and kind of rise from the shadows, and that might be what we're seeing.
They say the symbolism will be their downfall.
Yeah,
and so we see them like Ice Spice summoned a demon. I mean,
Right.
all of Lady Gaga, she has the babble that she does when she sings the songs, and that all roots back to like calling on God and witchcraft. And then SNL did something where they actually called on
Lamash too.
Lamash too.
Lamash too.
Yes, exactly.
It's
You
so
know, and
crazy.
it's like, but that's the thing. They do it, and they do it in front of big, huge audiences. I mean, you go to concerts of any of the guys that married the Kardashians, and you go to their concerts, and it's like you're at something
Demon
satanic.
worship.
Exactly.
Oh,
yes.
man. Travis Scott.
How about the halftime show, Dr. Dre halftime show at the Super Bowl, where they're literally dancing on FEMA camp buildings?
Exactly. This is the alchemical process. In many ways, I think they have to sort of like, I forget the terminology they utilize, but I think it's very important as far as the age of the Aeon of Horus, the age of Aquarius, as you were mentioning before. There is truly, this very much, I believe there are neo-pagan organizations that are very well established, and I think have infiltrated, levels of government as well. And that includes like a great example is the Delphi murders, which I've covered often, and at least I covered at a great extent in my own podcast, but I've talked about it a lot because essentially it's very recent too, right? 2017. I think Richard Allen just got sentenced in February in 2025. And I think he's an entirely innocent man, right? He's a patsy manufactured by the police, and what you witnessed there is this group called the Vinlander Group. This Vinlander Group is a neo-pagan organization. You look up Vinlander, it's like this old text that seems to be very much like the esoteric mysticism, but it provides them with this foundation and this path, right? And it very much is about essentially them and ruling over the ashes, and that truly is what I think when you consider the neo-pagan connotation, where they consistently conduct like ritualistic sacrifice, blood sacrifice, right? Like that's exactly what happened in Delphi, right? They arranged the bodies and this Vinlander organization, and the bodies were arranged at the foot of a tree, the base of a tree. It was supposed to be Odin hanging from World Tree, and it's like this. It's fascinating, but what I found out is that this Vinlander group had infiltrated the local prison in Indiana, right? The prison complex in Indiana. and they were essentially like the prison guards were wearing Odinist patches, right?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, and out of loyalty to their Vinlander group, which was directly involved with procuring Abby and Libby, right, for the Monenhigh Bridge Trail incident, which I believe was there was a procurement
It's like
process.
a supercomputer.
Stop it. I think there was a procurement process set up through Snapchat, and this is like modern day. I think how these sadistic networks operate and function. It's disgusting, but it's like, of course, they're utilizing social media to essentially be
Because
living the life
764
of a
targeting
predator.
children, yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And so what happens is this Anthony Schatz, right? Keegan Klein is his actual name, but this profile on Snapchat is called Anthony_Schatz. And you look this motherfucker up, it's like the Jimmy Savile effect, right? Like it's like, yeah, he did it. 100% that guy raped children. You know what I mean? It's just fucked up. And this guy definitely, first of all, his Anthony_Schatz profile on Snapchat was in contact, direct contact with Libby German, who's one of the victims, right, of the Delphi murders. And just as they're arriving at the Monenhigh Bridge Trail, she direct messages that Snapchat account.
Oh yeah.
And in my mind, I go, hey, we're here. Like, that's kind of like how I feel. Maybe they were lured to this destination.
Yeah.
Where are
Yeah.
you? I'm
And
here.
and what was he doing with this profile? Man, the
He's
way
the
he would
fake
seduce
picture,
them,
right?
use a male model, this young male model, life of luxury, all these exotic
Shit we did when
cars.
we were 12 to impress adult
Exact-
women
Yeah, exactly.
on instant AOL instant messenger.
100%, dude. But yeah, it's like, and it's so crazy because not only was that connected, they claim this unrelated case that happened just around the exact same time of the Abby and Livy abduction and murders. That Anthony Schatz profile was directly involved with. Well, there was another case where apparently he was in contact with this other girl, this young girl, and basically she had told him where she lived. She had essentially just doxed herself because she trusted this strange account. And what happened that night is that a masked man was outside her bedroom window.
This makes me think of I don't know, maybe this is maybe Clint may not appreciate this tangent, but I mean, we're talking about how these things go as old as time. I mean, like, what, 109 countries, haha. Like, I mean, what is blood libel? What, like, you guys have heard what is blood libel? Libel, it's literally the accusation, like what it's referred to typically is that on Holocaust, the Jews in these different countries would take a young Christian boy and essentially sacrifice him. No, I have no idea if that's true or not. I don't know. I've never studied the Judaism and spent all the time.
Probably is.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, I mean, I've done the digging of like the rumor that goes around was this thing around that same time called Sabbateanism, which was an inversion of Judaism and essentially it was that same idea, this aeonic change type stuff, this idea that there was even a verse I remember when I was digging into it. If you look, like, if you read, I guess, if you misinterpret it, you can interpret it as like, oh, when the Messianic age comes, in the age of Messiah, essentially the laws will be inverted or something along those lines, if you misinterpret it. So the idea being is this cult, this Judaic cult took this as, during the time of Messiah, and they thought they were in the time of Messiah because their Messiah, Sabdi Levi, and then Jacob Frank in the second iteration. They thought that they were the Messiah, and then they were in the age of the Messiah, and therefore God's laws had been inverted. What is good is bad, and what is bad is good. And so what does that mean? What are the worst things you could possibly do? I don't know. I just gave you a pretty good example of one of the worst things you could do.
Exactly.
And this is, I think at the time, it was something like, I forget the stats, so don't quote me on it, but it's like, I think at one point the majority of Jews in the world were Sabbateans. So, and then their whole thing of the Sabbateans, their whole big thing was subversion. I mean, if you're willing to invert the law, lying is now good, worshiping other gods is now good. All these other things extrapolate out from that. Like, they literally were known for the first iteration of the Sabbateans. I think they transferred to Islam. The second one, they converted to Catholicism. It might be the other way around. I forget. I think I'm correct. But essentially, the point being is they had no qualms with pretending to be other religions and cloaking themselves in those religions.
That's the whole thing about Khazarians.
Yeah.
People dismiss that whole thing, but they were known for ambushing you, killing you, and assuming your identity.
My God.
And that's what they've always done. That's why they constantly change their names and all that stuff, and it's just like, and just if you study Israel, like, it's all a game plan to get this group. You weaponize them, you make them extremists, and they do all your dirty work to just grab all this land. You basically give them welfare to study the Talmud.
Oh, God.
You can like not have a job in Israel. You can work and get paid to study the Talmud.
Yeah, that's insane.
Paying them to be
And it's just like, again, like, you know, like we have Jewish friends, we all love them. And like any group you go to high up in the power structure, they get more and more crazy. I think they've played every card so many times. Everyone knows the game plan.
Yeah.
And I think they're just going to get, I think they're in deep trouble. The whole thing in the occult is, again, manufacturing consent, revelation of the methods.
Exactly.
It's like from Lost Boys. Like you got to invite the vampire in, and they just can't do that right now because we know their playbook. And you know, as much as we can feel like it's futile what we're doing, I do believe that No Kings, you know, protests did not go off the way they wanted to because people like us, I'm not saying us personally, but everyone in our genre was talking about it so much. And we put out Walmart sponsoring it, all this stuff. And people are like, okay, I'm not going to this thing. It doesn't seem very authentic. And it probably is a bad idea. And I think that's how you work, man. You know, if you really want to make change, you got to make change from within. And by doing that, you show other people how to do it, and you give them the bravery, you know, to do things that maybe before they were scared to do.
Hey, brother, you played a pivotal role in my own path.
I push culture.
Dog. Yeah, exactly. I'm dead
I'm
serious.
a culture pusher. No, I appreciate you.
No,
you always
serious,
say that. I am very thankful, and I enjoy our show together that we
Thank
do.
you,
So I just get to sit back and watch that supercomputer go.
Stop.
But I mean, you can get really lost in it.
Yeah.
But I always said this: if they were winning and they could do anything they wanted, we would be straight up in lockdown all the time. They would have gotten rid of cash money already. We would have already tried to annihilate Iran. They would have passed all these anti-Semitism laws. They for whatever reason and whatever way back in the day when they invented all these occult rituals, they had to say they had to get our consent because of karma. And I don't think they can do it anymore. I think if they try to push a BLM right now, it would fail miserably because so many black people, especially in the black conservative space, are wise to what's going on. And, you know, when you see black fatigue and black content creators talking about black fatigue, that's so important because the truth is the only change only happens from within. So you need the group on the inside to be like, hey, enough of this bullshit. You know, white people. Yeah, there was a lot of racism before. It wasn't until, you know, a group in the group was like, dude, we got to stop doing this racist shit. And now you see it at it's a much lower like level. Same thing is in the black community with this black fatigue. And the next one's going to be is gay people and this pedophile shit. Oh God. They're going to have to be like, enough of this bullshit because you are really damaging our names.
Oh man. They've been attempting to conflate and I'm not obviously I'm not I'm
women too. Women with
absolutely.
the Me Too movement.
Yeah.
They're like, enough of this. You're like taking out guys for no evidence, no nothing. You're yelling, crying wolf. And then when something really happens, nobody wants to believe you because Amber Heard made everyone think she was getting like physically assaulted. And it turned out that she was taking shits on people's beds.
Yes, exactly. You know, going back into history, the original Declaration of Independence that Thomas Jefferson drew up had the abolition of slavery in it, and Thomas Jefferson himself had slaves. So this is always this grand contradiction that people will talk about, like, well, he was a slave owner. It's like, you know what? He was a man and he had moral flaws. And
if you could have slaves, you would too. You know?
The thing is, the
I'd be
property
really nice
rights
to my
argument
slave.
for slavery is the same argument as it is for abortion. It belongs to me. It's not a human. I can do with it what I want.
Oh, that's a great point. Never thought about that.
Yes. So we couldn't get the support that we needed to win the war with having this abolition of slavery into the Declaration of Independence. So they pulled it out. But then at the first Constitutional Convention, there's a moratorium on slavery, a 20-year moratorium at the first Constitutional Convention. So at the founding of this country, one of the first arguments that they had, and let me just say that the country almost wasn't formed over it. Like they took a 2-week recess because they didn't think they'd come to an agreement over the slavery. And that's why we have the 2/3 compromise or the 3/5 compromise, and all of that, because the southern states were not having it. They were not going to have this. So they agreed to the moratorium, which was 20 years. And then they said at the end of that 20 years, no slaves into our country. That's it. We're done with the slave trade at that point, and you deal with what you have, essentially. And then day one, the first day Thomas Jefferson was able to do that, he abolished the slave trade. He got rid of it. And there were still obviously bad actors still coming in for decades later with slaves, regardless of it. But the foundation of America, we were a new country. All right. And slavery had been a millenniums old.
Yeah, of course.
It's been around for millennia.
It's
still around. We still have it. It's still there's an open air slave trade.
Or a rapper talk about
yeah, open air slave trade in Libya right now. It still exists, but nobody talks about it. So in America, we were a country for 77 years before they abolished 77, 84. I can't remember. I can't do the math in my head right now, but we were a country for just a handful of decades, one lifetime before we abolished slavery in this country. It was around longer in England. It was around longer in everywhere else. But America is the place where it's like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Like, how could you do this mortal sin? It's like, yeah, it was a sin. It was awful. But we were the first country to establish ourselves on ending it.
It's very interesting because you bring up language. Like, that's a big point about the Bible and the Old Testament. It's like, people lose their mind over like the things in the Bible, but you gotta go, that was written at a time when they talk like that.
Mm-hmm.
They were a lot more blunt. They were a lot more, they were just really straightforward what they said.
Translate like 20 times.
They didn't self-censor.
Yeah. And so when they're like, go kill all these people, it's almost like a sports term. Like, go kill them, beat them, destroy them. Nobody really wants anyone to die on the playing field. And when they do talk about murking all these Canaanites, they were all Nephilim giants.
Right.
That's it. People don't talk about that. They were already having child sacrifice. So, everything is language.
Yeah.
When they go back and they watch Eminem video, they listen to Eminem, Gen Zers lose their mind. But you're like, that was acceptable at that time. And it should be now, which I think, because of you guys and a lot of people in the comedy space and Leonardo, people are going back to like, they're just words.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't call black people the N-word because they get sad. Then they get violent, but they get sad. You know what I'm saying?
Just my choice.
Oh my God.
In the Declaration of Independence, a lot of people are like, oh, well, it was just taxes. Taxes were bad. And that's why
taxes are so bad.
There's 27 grievances, right? Taxes are bad. And that's the 17th grievance. So King George was foreigners to come into our country and kill us. So he had armed the Hessians to come in, and he had armed Canadians, and he had armed the Native Americans. And he also, the other thing they were doing, the British Navy was taking colonists out into sea and saying, all right, we're either going to throw you overboard, you're going to go back and kill your friends and family. And this is all written in the grievances of the Declaration of Independence. However, what's written in there, Thomas Jefferson calls the natives merciless Indian savages. And that's what everybody gets stuck on. The language of that, not the fact that they were coming in and murdering women and children to the point where we're being armed by a tyrant king to do so, but that's where people get stuck. It's like the words are worse than the actions that
your ancestors talk like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they talked at that time.
We all have an uncle that says colored.
Yeah.
Right.
I have family members to say more.
The NAACP still has colored in it.
The way that the language evolves and to make it a little better. And then it's like black people was offensive for a while.
Yeah.
You couldn't say black people. And then it became people of color. And then it went back to black people.
Yeah. I call them the blacks.
The blacks.
Hey, I got to get going because I got to go do a show at the thing here right here. But thanks for having me on.
It's been a blast.
Thank you. Where can people find you and support your work?
SamTripoli.com. And you can see Doom Scrolling every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific. And I have a couple specials out. Just go to SamTripoli.com. I have four stand-up joke writing specials and 2 crowd work specials if you want to check it out. I just got to get ready for Jake Shields' show.
Good, buddy.
I had a great time. I love these conversations.
Yeah,
it's like so deep, dude. It's like,
for sure. Yeah, everybody, the Underclass Podcast. That's all that matters, honestly. Support the Patreon if you can. My name's Austin Picard. I appreciate all of you, obviously.
And I'm Jose Galison. I got soft docs recently. If you want, you can learn my real name.
Soft docs.
It's fun, whatever.
The soft docs.
You can find me on the No Way Jose podcast. I'm on YouTube, all the major odd bucketers, Rumble as well. I do a daily show too, about Monday through Friday, usually around 11 a.m. Eastern. I'll be in there, so you can join me and hang out.
Live stream?
I do live stream every Monday through Friday. Sometimes I'll pick up a shift, but yeah, follow me on Twitter at Tower Gang Jose. I don't know, maybe I'll change at some point. We'll see, or I might just be lazy. But yeah, those are places to find me. Josie.
I'm Josie. I'm the Redhead Libertarian. You can find me at TRHL Official over on X, and you can go to timcast.com and help support our work. I'll be on Timcast on June 30th to have a very big announcement.
Oh yeah,
so definitely tune into that.
Oh yeah, real quick, I forgot to mention, me and Austin both forgot to mention, we do a weekly show together on Tuesdays, 9:30 p.m. Eastern.
Here's a clip from the latest Broken Sim. A lot of people are saying like I'm hiding how I got my Twitter back or whatever. Not at all. I talked about it on the show, and it's what I did. And it worked.
Talked about it on the show.
I hit up these guys. Instead of complaining, like doing the normal appeal, which I did a dozen times, had other people try to do it. I went to the X ads, the ad service, and said, like, listen, we'd love to buy a bunch of ads, but my account has been banned. And then a guy emailed me and was like, hey, I'm your account manager for X ads. I'll put in a ticket. And literally the next day,
Can we do that with YouTube? Because I'll buy ads. By the way, that explains Ben Shapiro to a T. Back when what was that company called that he runs? That he had his
Wire?
What the Daily Wire, when it was cooking with gas, they were buying tons of ads, and that's why his numbers were like boom, boom,
you
boom,
would see
boom,
it everywhere. Yeah.
And then when it collapsed, he's not getting any numbers. Now we would die for the numbers he's getting right now, but he used to get in the millions, and now he's getting like 200,000.
Yeah, he's got a lot of overhead, that dude. I mean, they have full-blown studio complex where they record all that shit. But yeah, it's funny. I'm in this kind of dilemma now because I talked to two different guys and I told them both that I'd buy ads, and I'm going to buy ads. I don't want the bad karma of not buying ads.
I'll buy ads on YouTube right now. YouTube, get a hold of me. I will buy ads.
Only one of them, their ticket worked. The other guys didn't work. So I don't. I'm kind of like, oh, sorry, dude. You didn't get it done. This other guy did, who came.
Sorry, buddy, you didn't get it done.
So I'm feeling bad. Super chats. Let me just make sure that, because we'll save all the news stuff for next time, because we really led with news today hard. One thing I did want to talk about, because it'll be gone, is Star Wars. It seems like are moving on from this big Rey movie. The female lead from the last trilogy.
Of course,
they have shelved that film, which was supposed to be their tentpole, their big, the big future project for Star Wars universe, in favor of, there's one called Starfighter with Ryan Gosling. What do we got there?
We're just watching this blow up doll human being.
Is that your Instagram? Is that what that is?
Yeah, just riding a thing. Okay. It's just, you're just a dick pink cushion. That's all you are.
What? So the Rey movie got canceled. You had the vice mayor of Los Angeles coming out just like a straight thug woman saying, okay, hold on. Okay, she posted this on, she might have deleted it. Okay, here it is right here. So this is the vice mayor of Los Angeles saying this junk right here. Here you go.
I want to know where all the cholos are at in Los Angeles. 18th Street, Florencia. Where's the leadership at? Because you guys are all about territory, and this is 18th Street, and this is Florencia. You guys tag everything up, claiming hood. And now that your hood's being invaded by the biggest gang there is, they're going to peep out of you. It's everyone else who's not about the gang life that's out there protesting and speaking up. We're out there like fighting our turf, protecting our turf.
Our turf!
People. And like, where you at?
Yeah.
Bien calladitos, little chulitos. I'm like, dude, they're running amok all up on your streets and in your city.
In your city.
When the big gang guns come in, nothing but like quiet, and we're out here, the regular ones that have never been jumped in, out here calling things out, trying to organize people, trying to do the thing.
Unbelievable.
Trying to claim no block, no nothing. If you're not showing up right now, trying to like help out and organize, I don't want to hear a peep out of you once they're gone, trying to claim that this is my block. This was not your block. You weren't even here helping out.
What on earth? That's a woman who got elected to office? Is the vice mayor elected, or is she appointed?
I don't know. But what I will tell you about is how dangerous that woman is, because she's telling other people, screw your freedom. Go be a pawn in the game. And I really do, Johnny. And I know there's people that when I was very alarmist by putting on Instagram, don't go do this. Don't go to these no kings things.
Yeah.
I know I wasn't the only one. And everybody in our genre was saying it. And I think it worked. I think a lot of people, now I don't think that was meant to be the end all to end all. I think that was just a slow roll out. But you saw gang members go, nobody go to these freaking, nobody do these, nobody protest. Do not go to these protests. Don't be a part of it. Because they're savvy enough to know what that was about. And that woman right there is trying to get you in trouble. She's not going to go to jail like you were going to go to jail if they busted you.
You gotta defend your turf. I don't know. Yeah. What are you? You guys say you're hard, but you're not defending your turf out here. Like, what is that? Is that okay? So she was. I figured out how it works. She was on city council, and then city council selects a vice mayor. So she got selected. She was voted to city council, and then got selected. She is like the best of the best on city council. That tells you all you need to know.
Yep,
about how the city is run.
Yep.
I mean, that's like something. That's like a South Park character. They couldn't even parody that because that voice is silly enough as it is.
Hey, I am a Mexican like you. Hey, listen to me because I'm Mexican too. And what do you always hear Mexicans say? What do they always say? That Mexicans
we love tacos
over Mexicans. You remember Ralph Barboza? He was talking about when George Lopez went after him. He goes, a Mexican will always try to kick a Mexican down. I love Latinos. Okay. I have no problems with the Latin culture. I love them very much. I don't have a real problem with them coming here. Okay. That's my opinion. I don't have a problem with them coming here. Obviously, we wanted to go through an official process. I love Latinos. And like, oh, there's so many Latinos growing good. I love Latinos. The chicks are hot. They want to be women. They want to be moms. They want to be Latinas are traditional females. Yeah. White women have been annihilated by feminism. Annihilated. Yeah. Do you see Andrew Tate talking to Bonnie Blue? And I really liked it because he just says one of the most retarded things ever. And I think overall he did a great job. And
what kind of interview was it?
Well, they had like a debate. They tried debate, and that's just like let's
Bonnie
put two
Blue is debating. What is she debating?
Well, it was meant to be a discussion of what Andrew Tate thinks of Bonnie Blue and what she's doing. At the end of the day, he's like, she's going to do whatever she wants. Women are going to do whatever they want. This is what they wanted, and it's blowing up in their face. And he's totally right. The only dumb thing he said was that any father that plays with his kids is gay. And I go, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
What's he talking about? Okay, tell me if this is a little clip from it right here. Is this it?
Yeah, I think so.
Blue sleeping with 1,057 men.
I want you to be honest.
Do you want to be honest?
Yeah, go on.
I don't understand why men sit here and try and lecture you.
If you'd like to hear the rest of this episode, subscribe to Broken Simulation in your podcasting app or check us out at youtube.com/Sam Tripoli.
We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind. Tinfoil hack.